Hank here with my thoughts on the RGBlink Ask Nano 4K Wireless Presentation HDMI Kit. Full disclosure, RGBlink was kind enough to send this kit on over, and I was happy to test it. Inside the box, you get one HDMI transmitter, two HDMI receivers, three USB-C to USB-A charging cables, three HDMI male to female extender cables, one micro, mini, HDMI to HDMI adapter, and of course the user manual. At the time of this recording, the one transmitter with dual receivers is $199.99 in the US. Please note that the one transmitter, one receiver version is $159.99, and there's also a USB-C version that would be for newer iPhones, iPads to display out, and that version is $169.99 in the US. When it comes to the build quality, the transmitter and the receivers are built from very lightweight plastic, which if you're a subscriber to this channel, anytime something's going to be dangling out of a port, I do want it to be lightweight, so I'm totally fine with that. On the specs front, the Ask Nano 4K kit is, as the name implies, 4K. It features automatic pairing and driver-free setup. Operating at 5G, it transmits data at 40 megabits per second, and the latency is listed at under 0.01 seconds. In the manual, it does talk about if you are experiencing latency greater than that, then there could be some wireless interference wherever you're using it at. The product does exactly what it says it does, which is transmit an HDMI signal wirelessly to the HDMI receiver or receivers to a nearby TV or monitor. I'm going to show you what I've been using it for, just so you can get some ideas. If you're using a video switcher that doesn't have NDI or a network device interface, no problem. You can utilize one of these in the computer and then have the receiver in the video switcher that you're using. And it'll look something like this. So on there, I've got a nearby computer plugged in, and I'm just sending it out to me, which is something that would be really beneficial if you don't have an NDI video switcher and you don't want to have some complex setup to make this happen. But please keep in mind, this is not intended for gaming. So gaming frame rate's got to be super intense and stuff. This is not what this is for. Another use case I used it for is for a reference monitor. I set up my secondary camera in another room, and then I put one of the receivers on my big 4K 55-inch Samsung TV. And what has been happening to me over the years, and some of my subscribers have picked up on this, is when I go to take images or videos, sometimes they're not in focus. The old peepers aren't what they used to be. Sometimes I miss stuff and I just don't see it clearly. I come in the room and want to cry because I've already torn down the setup. With this, I was able to plug it right into my camera's HDMI port. I used a little converter, and then I had the receiver in my TV, and I could cast that image from there to the TV in the next room. And going forward, this will be extremely beneficial for me to use it in that manner, to line up shots and to make sure I'm seeing a focused image. Because even recently, I've taken some images of a microphone I'm reviewing, and when I brought them into the home office, several of the images were out of focus. Very frustrating, because at the time it looks like it's in focus and it looks like it's going to be good enough, but just wasn't good enough. So I can't use the images. In my area, I shoot small commercials, no budget or micro budget films, short films. And for me, the DP, the director of photography, he has his nice little monitor that he can see. But when I look at that thing, I don't always see everything. And obviously one of its intended uses would be for presentations. So if you have a group of people in an office setting and you want to fire this up, put it on your laptop and then send it to the bigger projector with HDMI input or screen with HDMI input in the office, now everybody can see your laptop. So on the pros, it was literally plug and play. I didn't have to do any troubleshooting or anything like that, which I greatly appreciated. And piggybacking on that, another pro, they auto paired. There was no special thing I had to do to pair the transmitter to the receivers. Another pro is them choosing to do 4K resolution. So on my 55-inch 4K TV, the image looked really crisp. Another pro is the distance. I've tried this from a couple of rooms away and it works just fine. I had no issues. I didn't have any interference or anything like that. And this is through walls in my situation. Your usage may vary, but in my situation, I had to go through doors and walls. Another pro, in my circumstances for what I'm using it for, the latency seemed low enough to where it was not an issue for me at all. Another pro is the versatility. I like that you can buy the 2 receiver HDMI kit, or you could get a single receiver HDMI kit, or you could get the USB-C kit for casting from iPhone, iPad, stuff like that. So the only con I have for the unit is if you don't have supported power from whatever device you're plugging into, then that means you got to run the little cables that they send with it. But they don't give you the wall adapter. If you needed a wall adapter for anything, you're going to have to provide that yourself. But this is what I did, and I will show you with pictures. On the back of the TV for the receivers, I simply plugged that in to the USB port. On any modern TV, they typically have a USB port on there. It does provide power. So otherwise, you just got to run the cable to power it. I think the RGBlink Ask Nano 4K kit is really cool. And I'm so happy that RGBlink sent it on over. But what are your thoughts? Chime in the comments below. As always, thank you.